Well, the big story that's just come in, Eurozone leaders have reached an agreement over a third bailout for Greece. This is what officials there have said, that the EU leaders burned the midnight oil to reach this agreement. Let's go across to Nupur Tiwari, who joins us on the phone line. Nupur, of course, the devil lies in the details, but the big news is really that an agreement has finally been reached.
That's right, Kulsum. As we were saying earlier, before this meeting, this marathon meeting started at about 7:30 p.m. India time on Sunday, the Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras had said that an agreement could actually easily have been reached on Sunday itself if all the sides wanted it. But then it became more than obvious that this was obviously not the case. Germany was really taking a hardline stand, and something that was repeatedly heard over the weekend in Brussels was that the Tsipras government cannot be trusted. Now, the creditors have been pressing Greece very, very hard in what must have been extremely nerve-wracking talks before this final agreement was reached and before it was clearly announced a while ago that there will not be a Grexit. A Grexit will not happen. In fact, the Eurozone leaders had been up practically all night, dispersing only at midnight local time and then coming back at 4:30 a.m. local time. And even after, it was only after a record-breaking 17 hours of summit that this agreement was finally reached. And just to quickly look back at how we actually got here, what we had been hearing is that Greece had given into most of the creditors' demands for reforms. In fact, what you heard a while ago was that Greece will now be required to put these reforms in motion very, very quickly. And Mr. Tsipras, the Greek Prime Minister, was resisting two things. One was that he didn't want the involvement of the IMF in the three-year bailout until after 2016. And he was also resisting the German demand that Greece hand over 50 billion euros in a private asset fund, which would be based in Luxembourg. This is what we were hearing in the beginning. Now what we're hearing and what is final is that this fund will be based in Greece. So that is perhaps the change. And these 50 billion assets are, of course, a kind of fund to manage the Greek assets, to contribute to sort of pay off the debt and recapitalize banks. It's a kind of collateral, as it were. So in the end, the big thing is that there has been an agreement that has been reached, an extremely, extremely tough one to reach. And the immediate crisis was that Greek banks will need more liquidity to remain solvent after Monday. And the European Central Bank is likely to also take this decision this morning on whether it will provide emergency funding. Looking that the agreement has been reached, obviously, Greece has been under pressure, but now things are probably going to get eased off. But still, there are things to be resolved, reforms to be implemented, and more announcements to be coming up. What is important to note is that in the run-up to the Marathon Summit, France and Italy had shown a lot of support for Greece, but it seems that in the end, of course, the creditors' demands have been met to a great extent. Kulsum?